right, guys, out on the range, getting some training in because most importantly, training is important. Red dots on pistols. I've got the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro here, my preferred optic. I also really do like the Trijicon RMR. I've had optics like the Burris Fastfire 3 and the Vortex Viper. Now, really, today, I really want to go over the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro and the Trijicon RMR because for me, they're my go-to optics and the only optics I would choose. That video I've really wanted to do, red dots on pistols. I really prefer them over irons. I believe you can be faster with them. I believe that they are easier to use for newer shooters, older shooters, aging eyes, people my age, people 55, anything like that. Don't knock it till you try it. So we're gonna go over the DeltaPoint Pro, we're gonna go over the RMR, both optics. Leupold DeltaPoint Pro, price point, 330 bucks. Right now I've got the 2.5 MOA dot. I paid $330 from this. I think I bought it on eBay or Amazon, something like that. Watch out for where you buy these optics at. If you see a big discount on one, it could be fake. They could be coming from China, they could be coming from Japan. So let's go over my 19X real quick. Like I said, Glock 19X Gen 5 with Leupold DeltaPoint Pro, 2.5 MOA dot, Surefire X300. I've got a tactical trigger, aftermarket trigger in there. Reasons I prefer the DeltaPoint Pro over the RMR, and I'll go into why I prefer the RMR as well over the DeltaPoint Pro. DeltaPoint Pro is a little cheaper, not a big thing. I believe that the glass personally is clearer than the RMR. You'll see a little blue tint in the RMR, as well as with the batteries on Trijicon RMRs, you got to take the optic completely off, which means you have the option, or you don't have the option. It could possibly happen. It's happened to me as well, that you will strip those screws. It's a big headache. You definitely don't want to do that. Always lock tight your screws as well. So when you want to change your battery on the DeltaPoint Pro, all you have to do is go ahead and pop this little lid off right here with this little tab. You throw in a new battery, CR2032 battery, as well as the RMR. They both use those batteries. You close it up. You don't have to re-zero. You don't have to do anything like that. You just throw it on, don't have to take the optic off, and get to shooting. The Trijicon RMR, on the other hand, you will have to completely take the optic off, possibly strip those screws, put a new battery in, and then you'll have to re-zero the optic, which kind of sucks in my opinion. Price point on DeltaPoint Pro, like I said, 330 bucks. And the Trijicon RMR is a little more expensive, but you're getting a lot of other things as well. Price point is right around $400 to $500. I saw a good deal on the internet the other day. Can't remember where I saw it, but I saw a Type 2 RMO6 3.25 MOA dot, which stands for minute of angle, if you didn't know, for around 425 bucks. Good deal. Always be aware where you get these guys. Get them from a good company that you know is going to send you a real one, because you go to send that fake optic back that you got from China, and they're not going to do shit for you, and you're out of luck. So, besides that, this is a Trijicon RMO6 3.25 MOA dot. I believe this is a Type 1. They also have the Type 2, which is new. They've done a couple different things because there was some flickering issues with the Type 1 RMR that could be fixed with some sealing plate, and you know, you could do things like that to really rig it up. But that's another video. So besides that, price point we already got into. Dot size, 3.25 MOA dot on this one. This is the RMO6. Trijicon will give you a bunch of different options compared to Leupold. You'll get a 2.25 or 2.5 MOA dot on the DeltaPoint Pro, or a 7.5 MOA triangle. Never use a triangle, so I can't give you my experience on that. But Trijicon gives you 1 MOA all the way up to 13 MOA dot size, minute of angle. 3.25 MOA dot is my preferred optic. I've had RMO7, which is a 6.5 MOA optic. And then I've also really wanted to play with the 1 MOA Trijicon RMR as well, because I really feel like you get real precise with that small dot. So let's get into ways of milling these optics. Right here, this optic was milled, or this slide was milled by a company called Jaegerworks. Real cheap, 125 bucks to mill this optic. This one I believe was done by Virtue Arms. You can send these optics anywhere. Fowler Industries, Jaegerworks. I really don't suggest sending them out to companies that really aren't well known, or your local Joe Schmo mill shop, because it could get jacked up. These really need to be done right. Other ways besides milling, which is my favorite if I didn't mention that, is something like the Dueck defense mount. All it does is you take out your rear sight. Obviously you don't put the RMR or DeltaPoint Pro or any dot on top of it yet. You slide into the rear dovetail of your slide, you throw your optic on, it works. I will say, if you're a beginner and you really don't want to send your optic out for milling, even though it doesn't hurt to do that, it won't hurt the gun at all, try that. Not a bad option. 130 bucks, slides right into the rear dovetail of your rear iron sight, and it's good to go. Just to know that it will sit about 1.5 inches or about 1 inch higher, and it's going to weigh a little more. Other options you have if you want to put a dot on your gun is get something like the Glock MOS or the M&P Core, which is optics ready. So you'll get it out of the box factory, throw your red dot on, you're good to go. I do believe that those just aren't as reliable as milling. So I personally recommend milling your optics. So a lot of new shooters, they really don't like to get into red dots right away. I personally did, and I think it really helped me. One of the biggest reasons is, you know, with iron sights, everything's not as exaggerated as with a dot. You have a bad grip, you have bad recoil control, you have a bad trigger press where you press that trigger and you see that dot go down and left, you see that dot go down and right. I could have the same trigger press with iron sights and it really doesn't show me that much. So really, if you're having a hard time or know someone that's having a hard time, as well if you're an instructor, throw somebody on a dot gun and they'll see how much they're really moving that gun when they're pulling the trigger. As well as if you're new to red dots and you just got one, you're having a hard time. A lot of people will say, you'll see them going like this. I can't find the dot. I used to be one of those people. What I recommend, from the compressed ready with an empty gun at home in your living room, go ahead and stand in front of a wall 5 yards away, throw a little piece of paper down on the wall like that, little tape, little mark, whatever you want to do, and just go ahead and press at the gun, find the dot. Press out the gun, find the dot. Don't go looking for the dot, bring the dot to your eyes. You don't want to bring your head down to the dot. Another thing you can do is, after you've accomplished that goal and really got good at finding that dot every time, you start drawing. Then you put out some more paper, you put out some more targets, you shoot more. That way, you really get used to moving your eyes out of that optic, as well as finding the dot, because you never want to search for it, you want to let it find your eyes, because it will. They are meant to be put on targets, and you are meant to look at the target and find the dot, not be looking for the dot, not searching for the dot. You want to be target focused with these things. That's what they're meant and made to do. So let's go ahead and get into battery life. Obviously these optics take batteries, which kind of sucks. There are some dual eliminated RMRs out there. I just prefer the battery powered optics. They can break. I do not run rear iron sights or front iron, backup iron sights on my gun, and I'll get into that in a little bit later. But besides that, they run on batteries. They run on a CR2032 battery. They're pretty cheap. I suggest getting a pack of them, throw them in your car, throw them in your house when you need them. DeltaPoint Pro is only going to run, personally for me, it's only been best about 4 months. I leave it on a pretty bright setting, which kind of sucks. Now its competitor right here, the Trijicon RMR, has been known to last up to 4 years. So really, if there's a shit hit the fan situation, what do I want? It's a little more rugged, I'll take the Trijicon RMR. It also takes the same battery. We've already went over the ways about how you have to re-zero these things, take the optics off, which kind of sucks. The RMR's got a little bit of blue tint to it, so it's really not as clear or as easy to shoot with, I believe, as the DeltaPoint Pro, as well as the RMR's window is a little smaller. As you can see, and we'll show some pictures or videos later, it's a little smaller, so I preferred the big field of view on the DeltaPoint Pro. Now, one thing I really wanted to go over here is I wanted to compare iron sights, the RMR. I want to do some quick target transitions. I've got 2 steel here, about 15 yards. We'll go ahead and run this RMR on a Glock 19, and we will also do it as well with the DeltaPoint Pro. So 2 pieces of steel from the timer. Here we go. So I'm not so much used to the RMR, even though I had one for a year before in my life, but that bigger field of view and that clear glass really does help. So that was a total time of 2:09. So let's go ahead and do this again. Same thing, DeltaPoint Pro. Missed some shots. Let me do it one more time so we get a good comparison here. So a little bit better, but really it doesn't make that much of a difference. Now, if I were to get a stock gun compared to red dots, my eyes with irons really do have a hard time getting out of those iron sights. So I'm going to grab a stock 19 here and do the same thing, 2 and 2 on steel.
Lock it back.
All right, so we got our stock 19 here. Looks like a Gen 4, and we will do the same thing as well. Stock 19. Throw my X300 on it so it fits in the holster. Here we go. Transitions, iron sights versus those dot times. Here we go. All right, total time of 4:80. So you can see the comparison. Not so bad, but I prefer the dots, and I'll tell you why. So guys, let's go ahead and get into why I don't like backup iron sights on my gun. I get a lot of backlash for this on Instagram. I'm going to show you something. This dot's on right now. I'm at a reasonable distance. I'm about 6-7 yards, possibly 5 yards. I don't know exactly. we'll go ahead and I'll turn my dot all the way off to the point where I can't even see it. And I want to show you guys something. Dot is all the way off, if you can tell. We are at about 6 yards. Let's just go ahead from the holster, or just let's go from compress ready on the buzzer, 2 rounds center mass. Here we go. All right, so 2 rounds, real quick, point shooting basically. I didn't do anything really crazy there. There's 2 decent hits. Let's go now back to about, give or take, 10 yards, and we'll do the same thing. What I'm gonna do here now is start filling this tube, that guillotine effect. Guillotine effect is basically taking the head off of the target with the top shroud of your optic, or I'm gonna fill the target lens with that target. Here we go, on the buzzer. All right, that was 10 yards. That was in 0.89 for 2 shots. So we've got 1 exactly center mass, 1 to the right shoulder neck area. Now the top thing I want to do is I want to back up to about, give or take, we'll go 20 yards and show you the same thing. If you can tell, the optic is still completely off, and I want to show you can get 2 hits here, center mass. I've got 1 round, let's top it off. 2 hits, decent center mass. I bet you're going to do it under 2 seconds to the body. Here we go. All right, let's go down and check that. That was 1.11. So we should have a total of about 6 rounds on target. I could have possibly thrown 1 or 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost 1. Let's demo that one more time. I'm going to take that extra 0.95 of a second to really make sure that I fill this tube nicely. Here we go. All right, so good clean trigger press, 1.57. 1.57, no optic is completely off, no dot, no backup iron sights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I threw 1 again. But that's in between 20 yards. So really, are your eyes going to transition to those backup iron sights when that dot goes down? I don't know, possibly. But for me, I believe with point shooting and filling the glass and guillotine effect, I can get good hits out to reasonable distances with no iron sights. All right, guys, not so much still debunking myths, but once again, I don't want to stand still and shoot 2 rounds. Real self-defense situation, real self-defense distance with a real self-defense gun. Optic is completely off, no dot, no backup iron sights. Here we go, on the move. I'll act as, let's just say, a threat's coming from behind me on the buzzer. I notice. All right, so time doesn't matter, but 2.10. I fired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds in 2.10 from 10 to 12 yards on the move, getting out fast. There's your hits. There's your proof that unless you really want to shoot perfect groups at 25 yards, you don't need backup iron sights on these guns. All right, guys, let's get into maintenance of these optics. They get dirt in them, they get cloth in them, you carry them concealed, you're gonna get a little lint. I've got 3 dogs at home, hair gets all over these things. Personally, what I do for maintenance is, besides changing the battery and checking my zero every time I shoot or every once in a while, take my shirt and I just go ahead and wipe that lens off a little bit. Other people get a little more wild, they like putting Rain-X on them and really hitting them with brushes and cloths and all that. Hey, do whatever works best for you. Personally, that's all I do, just wipe it off with my t-shirt. All right, guys. We went over a couple things. I didn't get into the real nitty-gritty of everything that you want to know. If you want, go to get a little more, let's say, techie guy's page. Check out what he has to say. He'll go over all the models, all the prices, all that good stuff. I just want to show you what I like about red dots on pistols, how easily they are to transition, how easily they are to get your eyes out of the optic. I just overall believe they're better. I believe they're better for people my age, believe they're better for people with eye issues, older people. Anything like that. Most importantly, guys, it comes down to training. Get out and shoot. If you're looking for any of these optics, like I said, I prefer the DeltaPoint Pro and the RMR. Really like both of them. Go to a good website. I recommend Shooting Surplus, any other companies like that that sell good optics for right prices and are good to their customers. Shooting Surplus code down below, BIG5 is down in the link, as well as 556 NATO Flicker, TA targets. If you saw these targets I'm shooting out here, go give them a follow on Instagram. Check out and see what they got. And like I said, get yourself one, try it out, don't hate, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Get out and train, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have some more videos for you. I'm really excited. I'm gonna get better at this. I'm gonna get better at shooting because I get better every time I come out, but most importantly, I'm gonna get better at talking. So let's do it. Subscribe to my page, like it, comment, let me know what you think. Bring the hate if you don't believe what I just proved there. Let me know what you have to say. Have a good day. Get to the range this weekend. Thanks a lot. So I've got a little toy for us to play with. Possibly a little YouTube review coming soon, but probably not. I used to use this gun in the past as well in the military, and I really like it. So let's go ahead and have some fun with it.